Hello and welcome back to round 7 of the Seattle Regional Championship. Kenny Wisdom here with Amelia Bottmiller, and we are watching 2011 World Champion David Cohen armed with what looks to be a plasma deck versus longtime Washington player Zane Nelson with what looks to be another plasma deck, maybe of a different variety with Thunderous and Curums and all
David
that business.
Very exasperated about a 1 energy attachment to Thunderous.
Yes, Zane getting very, very lucky.
See an escape rope.
Both of these guys, very good friends. Obviously, they've been playing locally forever, and so there's going to be a little bit joking around in this match. We actually saw these two players play in round 1 of the Oregon State Championship. David was playing Blastoise, and Zane was playing Rayquaza Emboar, and Zane managed to take that one, so we'll see how this match goes. Maybe we'll have, maybe David will get his revenge. Both of these players pretty close to making top 8 as well. Both of them have to win out, but they could definitely do it. Even a loss puts them in the top 16 somewhere, so one of these players will likely be making the top 8.
Yep, so Zane actually does get a pretty strong start here.
Is it a Lugia on Zane's bench?
Yes.
Lugia and a Kyurem? Okay.
Yes.
Zane obviously not able to attack.
All right.
Wow, so David Junipers away, a bunch of energy, a Juniper, and an N.
I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah, I gotta believe if I'm David there, I definitely want to just N. Regardless of how bad he thinks Zane's hand is, honestly, I don't know why you'd get rid of all those supporters, but
I guess he's intimidated by the strong start from Zane. Wants to be able to keep up, but
yeah, that's, I don't know. I don't really like that play out of David. And I also assume David's playing the more straight consistency version with Lugia and Deoxys and Thunderous. Don't actually know. I know Zane's playing Kyurem apparently.
yeah, we don't see Kyurem very often anymore.
Yeah, Kyurem's kind of fallen to the wayside now that Lugia has gotten so strong with the addition of Muscle Band.
David just goes for the Helix Force after a laser.
And Zane does wake up.
It's pretty big.
Yeah. Unfortunately, David has no other Pokemon in play, so a Deoxys can actually knock him out here. Zane has to get a Deoxys with a Prism Energy or a Rainbow and a Colorless Machine to attach a Plasma to it, but it's not super unrealistic.
It's like he's sort of thinking about the odds of that happening, checking out his discard pile.
Definitely. I mean, obviously, too, there's nothing that David could have really done about it.
Yeah.
If he has another basic Pokemon in his hand, I'm sure he would have played it, but
yeah,
it's a little bit of bad luck maybe, but perhaps it won't end up mattering.
Zane discarding a double Colorless for his Dowsing Machine and a Muscle Band.
It will take sort of a lot from Zane to get that, but I do imagine he's going for the Plasma Ball off the Dowsing Machine. Yeah, I do imagine he's going for the N, or the Deoxys here, and he has an N in his hand as well. So this could be a quick game.
Yeah, we'll see how well Zane draws off of this. He has a Plasma in his hand, unfortunately, but attaches the Prism to
I think he's going to end. I saw the N in his hand, so all he needs is a Colorless Machine here. He runs 4 of them. I don't think he's discarding any, so pretty decent odds.
Yep.
Unfortunately, he does have to reset David's hand there.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is going to let David have a better hand and maybe draw some basics if Zane misses here. But then again, I mean, David did Juniper last turn, so it's very possible that David had a fine hand full of supporters and energy that just didn't happen to have any Pokemon in it.
Definitely.
And here's the moment of truth.
And Zane's still in a good position, even if he misses the Colorless Machine here. He can write a Knuckle for a double Colorless onto the Lugia, or a Plasma, or a colored energy onto the Kyurem, I believe.
Definitely. And I think Zane missed it. Do not see any
I don't
Colorless
think Zane
Machine.
would slow roll here. So.
No, yeah. But even still, I mean, Zane's in a pretty good spot. Does he have any colored energy in the discard pile, do you know?
I'm not sure if he has a colored one, but he certainly has a DCE, which I would assume he'll just go for that onto the Lugia.
Yeah, I was going to say he also has the opportunity to put a Prism or a Rainbow onto the Kyurem off this Raiden Knuckle, but putting the double Colorless onto the Lugia is probably fine.
Yep.
And he passes over to David, who immediately plays a Plasma Ball, signifying that we will have a real game.
Yep.
And not sure what David is really looking to go for here, but I imagine it's a Thunderous. Seems most likely. He can, if he has an energy in his hand that provides lightning, he can go ahead and retreat that Deoxys, attach to the Thunderous, and then kind of get stuff going with Raiden Knuckle, doing 40, attaching, heal the condition of poison from his Deoxys as well, which will be relevant down the line.
And at that point, they'll both be in similar board positions. Zane a little bit ahead, of course. So.
And I guess that Deoxys poison damage is actually more relevant versus Zane than the majority of Plasma opponents, because Kyurem can snipe the bench, where usually, besides Genesect tricks, they don't really have much to snipe the bench or affect the bench at all.
Yep. And David debating what to do here after he gets his Thunderous EX, plays a Skyla, and finds another Plasma Ball.
Another Plasma Ball.
Yeah.
David a little scared of getting donked now. Only has 3 cards left in his hand. Hopefully one of those an energy. If it is, I think he's in a fine position.
I have to assume it is here.
Yeah. Still on the back foot a little bit, I feel like, but
Definitely.
not insurmountably so.
Yep,
Yeah, there's the Prism.
So David's going to retreat his Deoxys here, probably attached to the Lugia. I don't believe he has a double colorless, but he can attach a Plasma for sure.
Yeah, I'd like to see him attach the Plasma if there's no double colorless in the discard pile, which I don't think there is either. And there's the retreat. Cost both of those.
Trying to
energy.
retreat for one.
He also retreated for the
Sneak.
wrong energy too, that he'd want to discard, but definitely wanted. If you're David there, you definitely want to discard the Plasma because you want to put on the Lugia, because it's the only way that Plasma Gale can happen is if you discard a Plasma energy, which is why those are such a heavy resource, and why in the kind of Chase Maloney, Trevor Reed list we've been talking about, one of their reasons for not running Genesect is because they just didn't want to waste Plasma energies on it. They felt like having to attach a Plasma energy to Red Signal was just going to spread them too thin, and they wanted to go heavy Lugia, heavy consistency, which
has
worked out
for them. It's already hard enough to get the Lugia consistently attacking, so you don't want to distract yourself from it. So David goes for a Raiden Knuckle for 50 damage and Plasma energy onto Lugia. Well, Zane benches what looks like to be a Thunderous.
Yeah, a little bit of glare on Zane's side of the field. I apologize for that, but there is a Thunderous from Zane. And
he'll probably be looking to just continue charging up that Lugia. Maybe go for Thunderous as a response to David's Lugia, but...
I think he's in a position where he could attack with Lugia pretty soon. So I'm not really... I think he's going to have the first Lugia, if anything. The unfortunate thing is if Zane leaves this Thunderous EX active with the damage, if David can get DCE Plasma or Colorless Machine, he'll be able to knock it out with the Lugia for 3 prizes and just get very, very far ahead, even though that knockout actually won't matter that much as far as Zane losing resources, but it will matter on the prize race very heavily.
And then after that theoretical knockout, David can just fall back to Thunderous again and continue charging up his Lugia while setting up another 3 prize KO.
Definitely. Lugia, I've seen a lot of Lugia Plasma Mirror matches in my day, and they're very, very, very swingy. Some of them can start out slow like this and kind of, you're trying to play tricks, you're attacking with Deoxys, maybe attacking with Thunderous, but the majority of them really just come down to Lugia, 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 and whoever can sustain Lugias, particularly after ends, is a huge favorite.
Yep. See if Kyurem comes into play here at all. It is a very strong non-EX attacker.
Oh, 1 second. Sorry, we have a little bit of a camera issue. A judge ran over the camera, but we are back. All apologies for that, folks. As you were saying, Emilio.
Yeah, Kyurem, sort of similar to Bouffalant in a way, but
definitely
able to be Colorless Machine too, and has that Frost Spear.
Stricter energy requirements.
That's not really bad. Okay, sorry.
Stricter energy requirements. Needing colored energy to attack, but very similar. Non-EX Pokemon that can do some real damage, and we see David does have the double colorless on his Lugia, so now all he needs is a colorless machine, and he will be able to take 3 prizes via overflow.
Yeah, and Zane will definitely be on the back foot after that. Not sure how he'll be able to respond.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard for him. He does have a Lugia of his own, but the way that his bench is set up now, he can't actually get the one hit because he will need 4 Deoxys on board as well as a muscle band.
Yeah.
And he just can't get that as it stands, which is unfortunate for him. The other thing to recognize too is that it's often not too big of a deal to not get a one-hit response, because it's often pretty difficult for the attacking player, the player who just attacked with Lugia, to get another Lugia charged up, especially because they usually discard a plasma and then you end them, and it can be difficult for them to get another energy. And there's a Colorless Machine. The interesting thing about David's setup here actually is that he's going to have 2 plasma energy, so he's actually just going to need to rip any energy to attack with Lugia once more, so
yeah,
that will change things.
Zane will be able to attack into the Lugia X with his Thundurus EX, which is not too safe from Lugia, but doesn't put him in a terrible position and charges up his own Lugia.
Yeah, it's definitely not the worst. I think it's kind of what he's going to be aiming to do. I'd like to see him either do that with his Thundurus or go ahead and go for the Kyurem.
Yep. He could go for a Burbank Laser, more Deoxys, or a Muscle Band. Some sort of combination of those cards to look for a KO on the Lugia with his Kyurem.
Definitely. And David seems a little hesitant here. I think he's just kind of planning out everything, making sure that he's making the right plays. It's often very important. People will often get frustrated when you have a good hand, if you're playing kind of slowly, and maybe they think you're acting as if you don't. You're kind of taking it slower and planning and everything. But it's very, very important not to make a small mistake when you're so far ahead.
Yeah, there's no reason to make the small errors just because you didn't think about something for quite long enough.
Definitely.
So David actually decides to KO Zane's Thundurus EX, which is his own Thundurus EX, and put a Plasma Energy onto his other Lugia EX.
Which I think is also fine too. It's a little bit more of a conservative route. Spreads the energy on the Lugia, the second Lugia there. And Zane is going to be able to get a knockout on the active Thundurus EX on David's side, but I don't think that's all that bad.
Yeah, David will be looking at a response KO with his own Lugia.
Yeah, for 2 prizes too, which will make it just any EX knockout is game there. So I think David's fine. I think that was a wise decision. I didn't realize he had the second Lugia.
Yeah.
There,
and he'll also be taking out 3 energy with that KO.
And it'll take out. Okay, not all the energy on Zane's board. Zane still has 1 on the one on the Deoxys and a double colorless on the other Lugia. But
I assume both of these players play Scramble Switch as well, which can certainly change things up.
Definitely. For instance, if Zane promotes his Deoxys EX next turn, draws Scramble Switch, and then Scramble Switches, he only needs Plasma Energy on the Lugia to be able to Plasma Gale.
Yeah, absolutely.
David wisely getting the 4th Deoxys EX on the board.
Yep, just puts Lugia at an insane amount of damage, 160, before any Muscle Band or Laser shenanigans.
Now Lugia is attacking for 180 damage.
That's just
an incredible amount.
So that Lugia is currently able to KO out anything on Zane's board. But he has to make sure it doesn't go down to maybe a Deoxys? No?
I don't think Deoxys can do it.
Yeah, it's not a great way for Zane to go about this.
And there's a Colorless. In all honesty, I would have liked to have seen David save that Colorless.
Yeah.
Again, it's one of those situations where I don't feel like he's really digging for anything now.
Yeah, and it can lure Zane into thinking he doesn't really have much.
Definitely. Also helps him recover from an end very well.
Yep.
He hits an end. If Zane ends him to 2 here, he can, has a higher chance of drawing the Colorless. Or, like you said, he can just keep it in his hand. So.
Yep. Although he was looking for that energy attachment, which is very important.
True. He does get the double colors off of it, which is just insane.
Yeah.
He has another Lugia almost entirely built up.
Yeah, Zane is gonna have to pull a miracle here, I think.
And there's the Plasma Gale KO taking 2 prizes due to overflow. One important thing to note too is when you're playing these plasma decks, I see David has a laser in his. Chase Maloney, Trevor Reed also has a laser. And it's very important to recognize that if a Pokemon is knocked out via the poison damage from Hypnotoxic Laser, you will not receive the overflow benefits. So you will not take 1 more prize, which is something that's definitely tripped a lot of people up and is kind of difficult to remember in the heat of the moment.
Yep, but it can still help seal the deal on those KOs when you only need 2 prizes.
Definitely. Like the position David's in now.
Yep.
He doesn't, unless Zane has another non-EX Pokemon, which I don't think he actually even plays one. Maybe an Absol. But David has such a strong board state here.
Zane attaches to Deoxys, plays a laser. Heads. Certainly gives him a little glimmer of hope.
Definitely. By attaching that to Deoxys, he's saying, I don't think I can Lugia you out. Oh, that's unfortunate. Zane reveals a hand of
slamming his hand down.
reveals a hand of 2 plasma energy along with a colorless machine, among other things. Pretty unfortunate. But as I was saying, Zane's kind of saying with this Deoxys attack, I don't think I can Lugia you out, but I'm going to try and play the slower game. Maybe hit you now. If you don't respond, I'll Lugia you next turn, go into 1 prize.
Yep.
Zane definitely playing the more conservative route. I like that too. I'm glad that he didn't try and go for it, knowing that all the things that he had to discard.
Yeah, so he finds another Deoxys. David is making some hand gestures here.
As I said before, both players very friendly. There's a switch, I believe.
Yep. So
Don't recognize that art actually, but
looks like the Torchic one.
Yes. And his head's going to be... Oh,
David
David
that heads.
wakes up. And
Just...
that's game 1. David Cohen takes game 1 over Zane Nilsson. Spoke at David.
That's Lugia crushing.
Yeah, again, that's just how Lugia does it. David attacks with Lugia twice and seals up the game. I spoke with David a little bit earlier, and he said that he was excited to maybe top 8 his first event since October. Hasn't had the best of luck this year, so
It's washed up.
yeah, he's trying to get there. Once again, On the Bubble is brought to you by Top Cut Central. Please check out topcutcentral.com. We thank you for watching the stream. Really appreciate all the support. If you want to support financially, if you can afford it, please go to topcutcentral.com. Purchase a playmat. Sell Top Cut Central some bulk. We have the best bulk. We have competitive bulk rates. We have a shipping incentive. We have the best time in between when you're going to send your cards and when you're going to get your money. So please check us out there. Check us out at facebook.com/OTBPokemon. We appreciate the support. Be sure to tune into the Madison, Wisconsin regionals next weekend here on twitch.tv/onthebubble that I will be at all day. Myself and some guest stars, probably Mike Newman and a few other folks from that area. So I think I talked about, we saw a similar match, not exactly the same, but pretty similar, a couple of weeks ago during the British Columbia States, provincials, where Chase Maloney faced Trevor Reed in the finals. And during that match, I talked a lot about how I didn't feel that the match was really all that skill intensive. I feel that, but you have these extremely swingy cards in Plasma. You have Thundurus, you have Colress Machine, you have Lugia that just really kind of make it whoever draws the best. There is some skill in knowing when to go for it and when to not, when to hold back and when to not, but
David does something wrong.
I think he drew an extra card in his opening hand, but I don't.
And they resolve it.
Yeah, no, that's not too. Oh, he's he's gonna mulligan anyways. Not too big of a deal, but yeah, as I was saying, I think that a lot of these situations can come down to, I attacked first or I recovered first. Yeah. Whatever one you can do. And there's lots of times where I've seen this match play out where the player 1 gets a turn 2 Lugia, knock out 3 prizes, and then just gets end and can't draw anything ever again.
Yeah, it's sort of similar to the Yveltal mirror where you're just kind of wailing on each other and hoping for the best.
Definitely. And Zane will be taking his mulligan draw, and he will be going first.
Starts with Lugia and Deoxys on the bench. Lugia is probably not the best start, especially against an opposing Thundurus.
Yeah, the Thunderous is immediately going to be putting pressure on that Lugia, doing 60 damage if it has no bans or Deoxys EX on the bench for next turn.
Yep. Zane benches another Deoxys, plays an Ultra Ball, probably going for a Thunderous.
Yeah, I have to imagine this Ultra Ball is going to be fetching a Thunderous here.
Ultra Ball and a Colress Machine, certainly not the best discards.
Yeah, that discard is actually pretty unfortunate. Colress Machine is one of the best cards in your entire deck, so I'm sure Zane did it for a reason. Zane's been playing for a long time. He's usually a pretty sharp player, but you never want to see that. Similar to, discarding Superior Energy Retrievals and Blastoise or whatever other kind of just very important Dark Patches, for instance, in the Darkrai deck. Just very important staple cards to your deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we see the Prism in his hand. Don't know if there's a switching card there, so we'll have to wait and see.
Yep, then there is a switch.
So he's able to at least do 30 damage.
He can't attack this turn because it's turn 1. But he's able to get set up pretty well. Did he discard energy off the Ultra Ball, did you see? No, he discarded the Ultra Ball on the Colress Machine, right? Yes. But David's discarding a fair amount of energy.
Very aggressive Juniper.
So I mean, did he have an N in hand, or was it just the Colress?
I think there was just a Colress. So.
I mean, I probably would have been at that point, too.
More justified.
Yeah, the turn one, or the game one was maybe a little loose, but this one seems fine. And David just really going off here. I mean, touching a Plasma. Basically doing exactly what he wants to do, yeah. He'd like to get maybe a double colorless and a Plasma or Colress Machine next turn. Yeah. He'd like to force that Lugia through pretty early, but...
Yeah, Plasma may be the only deck that doesn't mind going second.
Yeah, exactly.
With that Ride and Knuckle being such a powerful attack, giving you...
And Zane does nothing. That's when he draws, attacks, passes. Does not even get to attach an energy from the discard pile via Raid and Knuckle.
And it gives you a way back from the energy disadvantage, even giving you an advantage. So...
Definitely.
Such a good attack. And he attaches a double colorless to the Lugia.
Yeah, and I think he has a Juniper and he's debating Junipering because he has a lot of resources in his hand. I'd imagine that's what's going on, but nope, he's just...
Right in Knuckles to same Lugia.
I was going to say, I'd like to see the same Lugia there. Yep. Zane seems pretty far behind. I don't think Zane is realistically threatening that Lugia, especially as he just top decks a Kyurem Plasma. So Zane could be out of this game very quickly.
As Lugia is just going the distance.
Yeah, Lugia. Yeah, there's a Kyurem on the bench. I think Zane just has to ship the turn back. Or even he's going to attack, but...
He's doing the little poker check there.
Yeah.
Seeing if his card changed into a Juniper, maybe.
And I think... Yeah, so David had the opportunity there to just attack with the Thunderous to knock out the opposing Thunderous. But I think... Oh, no, I guess no, he didn't. Sorry.
He would need some Deoxys.
Yeah, sorry. I misread the damage on Zane's Thunderous.
Yeah. He'll be taking 3 prizes here. And if David's able to get some Deoxys out or and a Muscle Band onto that Lugia, Zane will be facing game just from one more Lugia attack.
Yeah, and this is kind of the spot I feel like where David could lose, though. He just drew 3 extra cards with the prizes, but he hasn't played a supporter in 2 or 3 turns. So if Zane's top deck is solid here, especially an N, and N is the perfect card for Zane to draw here, and if it comes, I really think David could be in trouble. But no, it doesn't.
Puts them down in disappointment.
Doesn't look like it's just in energy. Wow, that's very, very unfortunate. And there's a plasma energy for David.
Down continue.
He is going to need... Oh, there's a Deoxys too, so he just has everything. Thinning his deck out, getting another Deoxys, and David Cohen is in complete control of this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And he'll just need one more win to make top cut.
Well, it's not kind of chickens before they hatch. Zane we've seen crazier things happen.
That's true.
Zane could pull this one out, but... There's a Juniper.
And a Juniper. Getting rid of that now useless N.
And one thing I do want to see David do here is just play really tightly and get rid of all those cards in his hand.
Yep.
Get rid of the Plasma Ball for a Deoxys. I'd even like to see him get rid of a Colress Machine and attach his Plasma to that other Lugia, and just kind of set himself up to where if he get ends, worst case scenario, he can still pull back and he'll have...
it won't really matter too much.
Pretty thin deck. but he chooses not to. By doing that, he's saying, you have 4 ends in your deck. You have 40 cards left. You have to try and hit it, and if not, I will absolutely just win the game. Zane draws, attaches.
The attachment of sadness.
This is a muscle band. It's not quite game yet, though. David's bench is unfortunately full. He cannot. If he gets a laser, it will be knockout.
Yep.
So if David Cohen can find a laser here, he will laser here. He will advance to 5-1-1.
Or a catcher.
But yeah, or a Pokemon catcher. And
He may not want to attack with the Lugia without getting the KO, which is the kind of dilemma.
yeah, he can honestly go ahead and attach to the Thundurus, retreat the Lugia with the DCE, and then put the Lugia right back, or put the double colorless right back onto the Lugia.
Yep. And he can even attach to the clean Lugia. Yeah, looks like he's going for the Thundurus route here, but pondering it.
Yeah, it's close. You know, there's a part of you that definitely is tempted to just go ahead and hit with Lugia twice, but it may be difficult to for him to keep that stream up. You know, especially
I guess
again.
Being careful with those plasma energy.
Definitely, and especially because you can essentially raid knuckle for free here.
Yep.
You can discard the DCE and then reattach it. I don't think there's much of a reason not to.
Zane's doing the hand flicks of defeat.
Yeah, if Zane.
David did a wrong thing
David
again.
drew one too many cards off of his colorist, but hopefully it won't be too much trouble because you can clearly see which card it was.
That's why you don't fan draw, kids.
Yeah, no fan drawing. They drew 2 extra cards?
Oh my god.
Oh, jeez. Well, I'm going to let our star judge, Braun McMullen, solve this. Should just be put it back on top, shuffle maybe, and then warning? No, just leave it there, okay.
Shows the colorless machine to both players.
Yeah, David will get a warning. And if you're wondering why they don't shuffle the card in, it's because, you know, if David knows what card that is, he could be intentionally drawing more to try and shuffle and change his top deck, so...
Yeah, they just don't want to alter the game state.
Definitely.
Want to leave it as natural as possible. He did have the laser. I guess he had already attached to the Thundurus before the colorless, though. So...
Yeah, I suppose so. I think so, at least. I hope so, at least.
Yeah.
I don't think a player of David's caliber would make a mistake like that, but it's possible.
Math is hard, so...
Math is pretty hard.
Yeah, so we see a red knuckle for boatload of damage.
160, actually.
Yeah.
Meaning that if Zane can't find... Zane's going to have to retreat his Lugia this turn.
Yep.
But which will just spell defeat for him if his top deck isn't another 180 HP Pokemon.
I don't know.
David switched? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, David should have some energy discarded, but... Yeah. Alright, so... Zane making a joke about his outs, and the top deck is an N. Alright, so... We actually have ourselves a game now. I think...
Sort of.
Well, yeah, I think that Zane's actual only out is a Lugia EX. Are there any other 180 HP Pokemon in that deck?
No.
I don't think so. His only out is just actually another Lugia EX. Or I guess he could also, like, scramble switch or something and leave his Lugia damaged but not knocked out from poison, like unpoisoned, and catcher knock out the Lugia. I guess that's an option.
Yep.
That would still probably hold the feat if David has absolutely anything, but to being into one, sometimes you don't actually have anything. And there's the Lugia.
Alright.
So Zane is definitely making this a game. There's a Pokemon catcher. And that's a Tails. And
Send energy onto the new Lugia. Maybe. Yep.
You gotta believe he's gonna retreat. Send up that Lugia. Pass the turn back. And
I think I might have liked to have seen the Prism onto a Deoxys. Just in an attempt to KO the Lugia with the catcher heads and a muscle band or something.
Yeah.
Zane's very desperate here, so desperate times.
I could definitely see that, especially because now he's putting himself in the same position as he was last turn, because now that Lugia is damaged from Thundurus and he can't really afford to leave any Pokemon up in the face of that Lugia, so he's going to need a knockout on David's benched Lugia. So.
And David already has that other Lugia at 3 energy.
Exactly.
Including a Plasma.
Including a Plasma, yes. So Zane might actually just lose on board here.
See him back to Thundurus.
There's a Thundurus, there's a Colress, but I guess double colorless catcher, Colress machine. David draws actual no energy would do it. And I mean, I could honestly see that happening. I mean, it's not super unlikely. It's just what's more unlikely is David just having nothing and Zane being able to replicate that for the next turn.
Yeah, definitely.
But, I mean, what a game if it happens. Even this point in the game, I think, is shocking. Like, the fact that Zane finally ripped the end at his last possible moment, and even though I think it was a slight mistake from that Lugia, he does have a reasonable chance of getting the knockout here. But I'm just going to have to draw well. He's drawing 10 cards, the full 10. So there's no better way for him to hit it here. 3, 4, 5.
So we can actually hear Zane in the background a little bit talking about how low his odds are.
Yeah. We see the catcher, but I don't see another way to... I don't see a Colress machine or another way to attach, unfortunately. If he can knock out one of the Deoxys, I guess he can't do that either.
So he brings up the Lugia.
Maybe he does have it. Maybe he has a laser even.
Ooh. Then he's still faced with a Thundurus, which can attach to the Lugia as well. It's just...
He has a Verbank as well?
Wow.
Oh, wow.
He's going for it. Looks like he's going to be able to get this knocked out.
Yeah, well, that's insane. So 50, 60, 70, 80, 160, 170. Yeah, that'll be the knockout on... If he can retreat the Lugia, though. Oh, he has Scramble Switch in his hand, actually. I saw him draw it.
Yeah, it's...
So wow, this is turning out to be quite the game.
Yep.
Zane Nelson making the comeback of the century.
Doing everything he can.
Oh, that's Dowsing Machine. Oh, he must have
her Switch, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be it, right?
Yeah.
There's no other real option.
So he discards Deoxys and
I don't actually like discarding. Well, I guess if a Pokemon gets knocked out, he's going to lose the game either way.
Yeah.
So I guess discarding the Deoxys is fine.
Shadow Triad?
I probably wouldn't have discarded that. I can't see in his hand, obviously.
Yeah.
Don't have perfect information, but... And even though, David and Zane are pretty close friends, it's got to be pretty frustrating for David to have...
this is the...
I mean, he needs to draw the
end at top cut, so.
Exactly. He needs to draw the end at the exact right time and then have David draw nothing. But again, any energy puts David in the driver's seat here. Playing the Thundurus, take a draw step. It's a Colress machine, but I think all of his Plasma might be used up.
He'll only be doing 150 damage, so...
Oh, there's no... Oh, right, the other one had the muscle band on it. Okay. So David actually needs to...
He'll probably be looking at a Thundurus attack this round, realistically. Unless you can find that muscle band and an energy. But
I don't think it's a supporter, though. I'm pretty sure that he passed his turn last turn without a supporter, and his top deck was a Colress machine.
Yep, he uses Team Plasma Ball. Search for anything, really, just to thin out his deck.
And there's the Absol Naniac, which is relevant here, since they're only needing two.
Especially with Zane's vengeful.
Definitely. I'm willing to bet that
David
more
has
than...
3 Deoxys.
Yeah. I'm willing to bet that more than anything that Absol was just kind of a convenience play. Probably didn't really have much else to get, but it can prove to be big here.
Yeah, I might actually try to get the Absol line over Lugia here.
Oh, definitely. You only need one more prize.
Yeah.
Not sure how many Prism or Rainbows David has left in his deck, but I have to assume that it's a fair amount.
He goes for the Lugia.
Catches the Lugia. Definitely the more safe route. Like, he has it on board now. Maybe not the safer route, but the more direct route, I'd say. He has the win essentially on board now. And he can also put a Colored Energy onto that Absol, which is what he's doing now, off of the Raid Knuckle.
Yep, that's very good. That Absol is also doing 150 damage.
Yep, so he might have put Zane in a little bit of a checkmate mode if Zane can't.
Yeah, Zane is just so far behind.
And there's a call risk for 10. If Zane can draw... I mean, I think Zane's best out here, honestly, is Catcher the Lugia, knock it out with Thunderous, and then hope David doesn't draw an energy.
Yep.
Just kind of, it's kind of sad to say that his best bet is just doing something and hoping that his opponent doesn't hit it, but that's what it comes down to sometimes, especially in a matchup like this. It is so swingy, as we saw with David having what we pretty much thought was game on board, and now Zane turning around and having a real shot at winning.
Yeah, when you're in comeback mode, there's a lot of hoping going on.
Definitely.
No matter what.
That's another 10 cards for Zane. And don't think I see a catcher. I do see a laser though.
So if he doesn't have the catcher, he definitely needs to retreat this Thunderous.
Yeah, it looks like he's building up that Deoxys for an attack maybe. As a reminder, David Cohen's Lugia does not have a muscle band on it, so he will need to draw one to be able to knock out a 170 HP Pokemon on Zane Nelson's side of the field. And there's a knockout, and now suddenly Zane needs one more EX knockout to tie this match.
So David contemplating what to send to the active position. I think I want to see Absol sent up here. Yeah.
I mean, Absol has one retreat, right? So you can just retreat it if worst case scenario.
And David checking Zane's discard again.
Yeah, I gotta imagine David didn't draw anything there, which is unfortunate. The other benefit of Absol as well is that there's only one prize, assuming that Zane cannot get his Lugia online.
Yep.
So it gives David another draw step.
And Zane making a pretty incredible comeback here.
Definitely. I mean, I thought Zane was definitely going to be just get blown out here, but he's made a reasonable comeback, and honestly now it looks like he will win. It looks like he's favored to win. So and David still, I think it's still David's turn. I think he's thinking he might have something like an N or maybe a Skyla if he plays it in hand. He's kind of considering what he wants to do. But I don't know, it's gonna be a close call here. I'm not sure what's taking. Maybe it's Zane's turn. I didn't see David pass.
I think it's still David's turn.
Okay.
He's just taking his sweet time.
There's a switch in his hand and one other card, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's thinking about for so long. Maybe considering attacking with Lugia, but that would seem weird.
I mean, attacking with the Lugia now seems like a mistake.
Yeah.
But, I mean, attack with the Lugia now, and then Deoxys is going to go ahead and do 120. So he's probably safe if he assumes that Zane can't get his own Lugia set up this turn.
Yeah, definitely.
Because as a reminder, Zane can just Plasma Gale with a laser, and Overflow won't trigger, but he'll just take two prizes like normal. And David, after quite a bit of thinking, decides to pass the turn back.
So Zane will be looking at a KO on this Absol. Maybe the Lugia for game if he can find a catcher heads.
And there's a call race for another 10. For 9 this time. Only 9 this time.
Those feel-good call races.
Yeah, definitely. Zane's drawn 29 cards off call race now.
This Deoxys can actually not KO the Absol,
No.
which is kind of awkward.
I mean, it could with a muscle band and a laser, but it's a lot to ask. Well, he's drawing 9 cards, so I'm not sure of the contents of his deck after all the researches he's been through, but looks like he does not have either of the aforementioned cards. But he's looking for something. The colorless machine. Oh, can he get the Lugia this turn? Does he have a double colorless in his hand? That would be absurd, but no, it appears that he does.
Oh my goodness.
So Zane Nelson, with an incredible comeback, takes game 2 over David Cohen, and we will be moving to a game 3.
That's a nail biter.
Match. Wow, absolutely insane comeback. The top deck end at the last possible moment. Wow.
We've seen some pretty cool comebacks so far in these Swiss rounds. Some decent games. Only 2 ties.
Yeah, we've honestly seen a lot of close games. You know, we've seen a lot of interesting back and forth in this tournament, more so than most others I've streamed, honestly.
Yeah,
so
haven't been clear smashings for the most part.
Definitely, and this round has just been huge. I mean, it's really tough because, as I said before, both these guys are friends. You know, they're very close, and both these guys don't take Pokemon too seriously anymore. You know, Zane and David are both in college and kind of focusing on that, but it does have to be frustrating for David to be, you know, I don't know what the odds of drawing, I guess 10% odds of drawing one of your 4 ends off of a 40-card deck, roughly.
Yeah.
Probably more than 40 cards, honestly.
Yeah, they definitely both still have that desire to win. Like,
definitely. I mean, you always want to win,
even
right?
if they haven't played as much recently.
Definitely. And David going first, starting with the Snorlax with a Deoxys EX on the bench, opposed to Zane's Thundurus EX with a Plasma Curum and a Lugia EX on the bench. Got to imagine that David's looking for a Thundurus here.
Yeah, definitely. That's what he grabs.
Gets the Thundurus EX. Looks like he has a Shuffle supporter, maybe. No, just checking out his hand a little bit. The interesting thing, too, as we've been talking a lot about going first or second with Plasma, is David doesn't necessarily need to switch this turn, really. I mean, he'd like it, so he doesn't have to find it next turn. But it's not an overly huge deal if he doesn't hit it. He has another turn to get it before things really start mattering, and he doesn't.
Yeah,
He just passes
Snorlax
the
taking
turn.
damage won't really matter.
Yeah. Especially with these decks moving to higher counts of Pokemon Catcher now, or at least Zane's, you're not really going to see the Snorlax, I think, play too big of a role.
Yep.
Besides maybe just being stuck up front for David, but that's not too big of a deal, I don't think.
Zane lasers the Snorlax, attaches the blend. It looks like he's just going to attack without playing a supporter again.
No supporters. I did see a supporter in David's hand, but it was a call risk. I think he's just trying to give himself a few more turns before he plays it, see what Zane does, but
Call risk for 4 isn't too bad, especially with that switch being played.
Yeah,
and knowing Zane doesn't have
he says the Juniper.
Never mind. Just has the Juniper to discard a Rainbow as well.
I guess he must have had the N in hand as well. He discarded an N off that. He must have had it in hand last turn as well and decided pretty wisely, I think, to not play it because he had the switch in hand and he just kind of wanted to wait. The risk there, obviously, is if Zane has a switch, if Zane has an N, it's going to be, pretty frustrating for David, but It worked out for him.
Yep, and he's going for the Snorlax this game.
Yeah, trying to go with the Snorlax.
Not bad, considering Zane has nothing, and Snorlax can just kind of steamroll over
Definitely.
Pokemon.
Snorlax, you look at Snorlax and you say he's still 3 energy away from attacking, but hey, it's a
Really,
DCE
he's just, yeah.
and actually now it's just a DCE, so I totally did not realize that
Yeah.
he's gonna have 3 on it. So now it's just a DCE or any kind of energy and a Colorless Machine away. And David's bench isn't too full yet, so Snorlax won't be a real threat immediately, but all it takes is a Plasma Ball or 2 to really get that Snorlax rolling.
And then adding in that Deoxys damage as well, of course. Just absurd amounts of damage. And it's not that easy to have a response KO to the Snorlax. It is sort of beefy. Although Zane finds 2 energy onto this Kyurem.
It's a lot easier for Zane now that he has already damaged the Snorlax with the Thundurus.
That's true.
I mean, he does have the Frost Spear up, and any colored energy will grant him the 120 attack on with Kyurem.
Yeah. So we'll probably see David continue to attack with the Thundurus, looking for something else to attach energy to, or a way to KO that Kyurem.
Yeah, if he can catch or KO the Kyurem with Snorlax, maybe, I think he's in a pretty good spot.
So we see Juniper discarding Scrapper and some other cards I can't see. Looks like some trainers. I didn't see any energy in there.
No, I didn't quite either. Zane taking a look at it.
Couple of Team Plasma Balls.
Oh, and as I said, all it takes is a few Team Plasma Balls
Zane's throwing them around. Disgust.
for David to come back, and that's exactly what has happened.
Yeah. So David would still need 1 more Plasma Pokemon to be able to knock out the Thundurus if he chose to do that. Which I think would be the incorrect
I think
route
you can do
anyway.
it now, because its Team Pact is 30 times, right?
Yeah, so it's...
It's 120, and plus the Deoxys, and it's already had damage. I think it'll be a knockout either way, but he does find the 4th Deoxys.
Oh, I forgot the Thundurus had damage on it already, on Zane's side. Yeah, so... Find the 4th Deoxys.
He finds the 4th Deoxys. Looks like he's considering what to do.
I think he actually wants to wait until he can attack this Kyurem, but he does not seem to agree.
I mean, he could go ahead and attack with Thundurus and just attaching to the Snorlax to build it up.
Yeah, definitely. See the Snorlax online now.
Yes, Team Pact is up with, I believe, 2 Prisms, a Rainbow, and 2 Plasma Energy on it. And the unfortunate thing, too, about the Snorlax is it's very powerful, but if Zane has a response, which he more than likely does, David loses all that energy to start all over again.
And he's going to have to retreat this Thundurus, so that would... Nope, okay. He goes for the Ride It Knuckle.
I think that's definitely the safer play.
Yeah, agreed. No energy in discard, but that's fine.
And Zane with no supporters in hand, a Verbank, a Muscle Band, and a Genesect EX.
This is just so sad for Zane.
Although we saw a similar thing last game, we saw Zane turn it around with the most insane comeback I've ever seen on stream.
Definitely.
And there's the Verbank. I think at this point you might as well play the Verbanks. You know, you're behind, you might as well thin your deck. And time has been called. That's very unfortunate.
And a tie here will put both players out of the running for top cut, so
yeah,
that's just a huge shame.
That's very unfortunate here. I had gotten so wrapped up in the game that I almost completely forgotten about the time issue, but wow.
We might see one of the players concede to the other player, but I don't know.
As we talked about before, I could definitely see the player, whoever is ahead, the player who's behind, conceding just because...
Gentleman's rule here.
Yeah, kind of just, you're putting... Obviously, David, whoever, top 16 still gets prizes, top 32 still gets points, etc. But it's just so hard to justify knocking both of the players out of top 8 potential.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with David almost certainly winning this game if it was played out.
Definitely. And I think Zane might be able to recognize that as well. That's turn 2, right? There was from 0, 1, 2. So yes, we're going into turn 2, and Zane is certainly under no obligation to concede under any circumstances, but I think we could see one of these players choosing, just saying, I care more about one of my friends making it in than I do about maybe some top 16 packs. And if the game had gone on, X person, who looks like David, I think, would have ended up winning the game. So
he'll be able to kill this Kyurem. Just gives him an incredible board advantage. But
with even one or two more turns too, this game could have been fine.
Yep.
But 15-minute best of 3 strikes again.
Yeah, David just skylaying for something. And I believe this is David's final turn, so.
Yeah, this is the final turn of the game.
Okay.
It's turn 3. And I don't really see what David's really going for here, but I think, as we've seen before, we see a lot of players who will play out the turn 3 just to kind of see if there's anything they're missing, just to check all of their bases.
Yep, and the team pact for the KO. Zane has an N and reaches for the slip. So we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, we can probably see David saying this. So it looks like David and Zane are kind of talking about what would have happened here.
Yeah.
So he has the
Zane putting his hopes on that N.
Yeah.
Which honestly would not have done much for him.
And Zane does go ahead and concede, it looks like. I think that's probably the right thing to do. David was very advantaged in that game.
Yeah,
an incredible match that unfortunately had to end in a tie. But we'll be back for the final round of Swiss. Hopefully we'll get some 2 players who are really fighting for the top 8 spot. Thanks a million for commentating. Thank all of you for watching. We'll be back real soon.